What's up, Taiwan? I'm Laurel Stewart with the news from here in Taiwan and around the world. A major global freedom watchdog has awarded Taiwan for protecting democracy. Taiwan won the inaugural Beacon Award at the 2025 Freedom House Awards ceremony. The group highlighted the resilience of Taiwan's government and civil society in the face of escalating pressure from the Chinese Communist Party. Taiwan's de facto ambassador to the US, Alexander Yu, accepted the honor on behalf of the government, and Jiang Minyan from the Taiwan Economic Democracy Union was there to represent civil society. Taiwan's ruling Democratic Progressive Party has expelled 5 members suspected of spying for China. All 5 had worked with Taiwan's government. One was a consultant in President Lai Ching-te's office, and another was an aide to Joseph Wu when he served as foreign minister. Wu is now the National Security Council chief. The DPP's Central Evaluation Committee chair is urging party members and the public to be extra vigilant of China's infiltration efforts.
是我们要再次跟中共来呼吁了哈，任何的收买、任何的渗透，甚至于统战台湾的行为，我想这都只会让台湾人民更加的反感了哈。所以我们还是要再次的呼吁中共应该要停止这样的行为。对于不管是对我们的政党，或者是对我们
The number of Taiwanese people charged with spying for China has increased in recent years, according to Taiwan's National Security Bureau. 2 US congressmen have introduced a bill that would make it easier for Taiwan to purchase US arms, aiming to deter a potential Chinese attack. US Senator Rick Scott and House Representative Scott Perry introduced the TaiwanPlus Act in both chambers on Wednesday. The bill would shorten the time needed to approve arms purchases by Taiwan and raise spending limits to match those of NATO Plus members like Japan and South Korea. These countries are not official NATO members, but have close military ties with the US. Taiwan is a significant buyer of US defense equipment, ramping up its purchases in recent years. US Congressman Gerry Conolly, a longtime advocate for Taiwan and co-chair of the US House Taiwan Caucus, has died of cancer aged 75. Conolly's family announced his death on X on Wednesday. He had served as a Democratic representative since 2009 and had been a strong advocate for Taiwan throughout his career. Just before his death, Conolly introduced 2 major pro-Taiwan bills, including one supporting Taiwan's inclusion at international organizations. Both cleared the House chamber earlier this month. Taiwan's representative office in the US has expressed condolences on behalf of President Lai Ching-te on X. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa says there is no genocide happening in his country after US President Donald Trump confronted him in a White House meeting about alleged persecution of white farmers.
But we have many people that feel they're being persecuted and they're coming to the United States. So we take from many locations if we feel there's persecution or genocide going on. Generally, they're white farmers, and they're fleeing South Africa, and it's a very sad thing to see. But I hope we can have an explanation of that, because I know you don't want that.
President Ramaphosa was visiting to reset ties between the 2 countries after a diplomatic fallout led to cancelled aid and the expulsion of South Africa's ambassador. But instead, Trump said thousands of people are fleeing South Africa for the US and Australia. He even played a video filled with unverified claims of genocide. Ramaphosa pushed back strongly in what became a tense exchange.
Those people were all killed.
Have they told you where that is, Mr. President? No, I'd like to know where that is, because this I've never seen. Okay.
I mean, it's in South Africa.
After the meeting, Ramaphosa told reporters there is no genocide in South Africa, saying it's wrong to compare the current situation to the country's former apartheid system. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the entire Gaza Strip will be under his country's control by the end of its new offensive.
כדי לנקות אותה ממחבלים ומתשתיות הטרור של החמאס. ובסוף המהלך הזה, כל שטחי רצועת עזה יהיו בשליטה ביטחונית של ישראל, והחמאס יוכרע כליל.
Netanyahu says there is an opportunity for a temporary ceasefire in Gaza and an end to the war if all hostages are released and militant group Hamas gives up power. His comments come as international pressure grows for the country to halt its expanded offensive on Gaza amid a dire humanitarian situation. United Nations officials say Palestinians in Gaza are still waiting for aid to arrive 2 days after Israel said it lifted its 11-week blockade on the Strip. 2 Israeli embassy staff members have been shot dead in the US Capitol. The shooting took place at an event outside the Capitol Jewish Museum hosted by the American Jewish Committee. Police have detained the shooter and believe he acted alone. US President Donald Trump has expressed condolences to the families of the victims, blaming the shooting on anti-Semitism. In North Korea, a new 5,000-ton warship failed to launch after an accident, prompting a rare public scolding from leader Kim Jong-un. State media says Kim was there when it happened and blamed the failure on carelessness, saying it could not be tolerated. He's ordered the ship to be repaired immediately. This is not the first time North Korea has had trouble with new military equipment. A satellite launch last year ended in an explosion mid-flight. The 2025 World Masters Games is in full swing in Taipei. The multi-sport event for older athletes sees 6,000 participants from around the world face off in the Taiwanese capital. Reporter Lauren caught up with one of the few over the age of 90 taking part in this year's competition.
How old is too old to compete in international sports events? For 99-year-old athlete Alan Martin, there is no age limit on competitive spirit. The New Zealand native has just touched down in Taipei for the 2025 World Masters Games, a multi-sport contest for people aged 30 and up.
It's a real challenge, and if you can do it, why not? It's enjoyable and it's a challenge.
Hello! You're famous, Grandpa. You're famous.
The near centenarian Martin has already bagged 8 gold medals in previous World Masters Games. This year, he's entered himself in 5 of the competition's 35 events, the 100, 200 and 400 metre dash, as well as the javelin and discus. And he's the only one showing up in his age group for all of those events.
Well, as I say, I'm used to coming last because if there's no other competitor at my age, they put me in a lower group, say 80 to 85, and you're running with them. So that's the challenge in itself. Anyway, getting around, completing the course, doing what I said I'm going to do, and those are the challenges that I have got. And hopefully do reasonably well.
Martin was retired when he laced up his running shoes for the first time, taking to the track after a long career as a pilot turned journalist. First flying with New Zealand's J-Force in Japan, then reporting from South Africa, London, Australia and Gallipoli in today's Turkey. He says his childhood in rural New Zealand gave him the drive he needed in his varied career, including as an older athlete.
If you grew up on a farm, let's say, I think that's where you learn certain disciplines, because it's always hard work on a farm, and I think in anything I've done in my life, it's always because I generally tempted to work hard at it.
And when Martin hits the track this time, he'll have a familiar face cheering him on from the stands. His granddaughter Paul has travelled to Taipei to show her support. She says Martin has been an inspiration to her, and she even decided to compete in her first triathlon later this year in his honour.
I stayed with him for a month last year in New Zealand. He was getting up every morning at 6 a.m, doing his workout, and it's so inspiring to see someone to keep active and keep a positive mindset.
Taipei will mark Martin's 4th World Masters Games. He previously competed in Italy, Australia and his home country of New Zealand. And he's always thinking ahead to the next event.
Well, assuming I'm alive, of course, the next one is the Australian Games in Canberra at the end of this year. That would be my next goal.
At almost 100 years old, Martin's unstoppable spirit proves age is just a number. and that hard work and discipline are the best drivers of success. Alex Chen, Sandy Chi, and Lauren Padamore for TaiwanPlus.
2 deadly car crashes in Taiwan this week have reignited a national outcry over pedestrian safety. As grief turns to frustration, road safety advocates and lawmakers are demanding urgent action, and they're taking to the streets on Sunday to make their voices heard. John Ventriest reports.
驾照回讯放水!
Outside the legislature, campaigners and lawmakers gather in collective anger. It's been 3 days since a driver slammed into a busy intersection in New Taipei, killing 3 people and injuring 12. The cause of the crash is still unclear, but there are suggestions the driver's age, 78, may have been a factor. What is known is that the driver was able to renew his license earlier this year without problems, despite having hit another pedestrian in the past. While the nation is still in shock, campaigners here say the crash is just one in a long string of tragedies on Taiwan's roads, including a similar deadly crash in Tainan on Tuesday. They say road safety is so bad that it's even made the news abroad, with CNN calling Taiwan a pedestrian hell in 2022. They say it's time to do something to turn this around. So on Sunday, they're marching through Taipei to demand government action. The government is moving. The Transportation Ministry is lowering the age of mandatory license renewal from 75 to 70, among other rule changes. But these activists say this renewal process is still too easy and could easily miss people who can no longer drive safely.
他只是问你简简单单的你几年出生，今天是几号，你有没有色盲，这些完完全全非常简单的题目，只是简单的健检题目，没有任何的路考，没有任何的笔试，只是这样子就放任驾驶上路了。
And some of the speakers say inaction on reforming the license renewal system spans decades, even though reports and public hearings have pointed to the need for change.
1993年，交通部就第一次提出了驾照回训必要性的报告。我想说的是，驾照回训并不是交通上的新议题，而是一段长达32年的改革路。从1993年交通部首次提出驾照回训必要性的报告开始，历经了5任的总统，到今天还没有完成。
5 lawmakers from all 3 parties with seats in the legislature have come to give their suggestions. From the Taiwan People's Party, these include changes to traffic rules and signage, and the central government making order out of scattered local efforts at improving road safety.
学校旁边的设置，各个地方政府其实在学校旁边都做了非常多的努力，但是没有统一的规范的话，是没有办法强制或者是给予更多的惩罚。
The main opposition Kuomintang representative says license renewal should depend on the ability to drive safely, not just age. And he criticized the Transportation Ministry's reform plans.
我们看到交通部似乎只为了回应社会的一个期待，来做出的一个调整，他也并没有从科学化、数据化告诉大家为什么是从75改到70，是一个感觉吗？
And voices from the ruling Democratic Progressive Party included calls for lower speed zones around schools, and to be more forceful about taking away licenses when needed.
我也认为我们现在应该要更积极的来去把这些曾经有肇事或是违规的记录的这些驾驶者呢，我们应该要有一个预警系统，然后并且主动关怀。那如果他没有执行，我们应该有一个退场机制。
As lawmakers aired their ideas, the activists here put forward 3 demands that will be the focus of Sunday's march.
第一点是我们要全面建立回训制度，第二点是我们高龄驾驶的回训要改革，第三点是我们的交通工程要改善。
They hope to put pressure on the government to meet these demands, so that preventable traffic deaths they say have tarnished Taiwan's reputation will be a thing of the past. Scott Huang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, take a look at this legendary 1935 guitar heading to auction in Paris to support children with cancer. I'm Laurel Stewart. Take care and see you next time.